Print too much, you end up in something like Venezuela.
The economy, as I've said, we are in a recession where now people will not be able to afford. The demand for goods is just going to go down. The end result of that, companies are going to close. People are going to become more poorer than where we were before.
Just won't stop. People have money in their pocket and they pay higher prices.
What is hyperinflation? Hyperinflation is an extreme or excessive inflation where price increases are rapid and out of control. During hyperinflation, a country experiences an inflation rate of 50% or more per month. Furthermore, hyperinflation also can cause a surge price for basic goods like food, which in return can create a food supply shortage. Let me provide you a logical example. For instance, your current spending may range around 500 ringgit Malaysia per week. However, for the next month, the same spending has been inflated to 750 ringgit Malaysia and followed by the following months of increment by 1,185 ringgit Malaysia per week. That is what being defined by hyperinflation. Therefore, consumers need to spend more money to buy the basic goods due to higher prices. In other words, during hyperinflation, the value of money has dropped due to price increase. For instance, 100 ringgit Malaysia can buy 10 items, but now with the same amount, we can only buy 5 items only.
So, what causes hyperinflation to occur? Firstly, the excessive money supply. When hyperinflation occurs during recession, this is the situation where there is extremely high unemployment, lower productive output, and less lending and credit availability. The government will respond by printing more money to increase the money supply. This is to encourage banks to lend out money to the consumers and businesses for consumption and spending. However, too much money supply that expands rapidly without a corresponding economic expansion eventually create a large supply of money with little demand for it. The currency then loses its value, causing hyperinflation. Secondly, hyperinflation occurs when people are losing confidence in the economy or monetary system. For instance, when there is political instability and war, the currency loses value because people lose confidence in the government that exists. Some people will eventually switch to another country with more stable currency. To be enticed to accept the currency, the seller requires a risk premium that is reflected by higher prices of goods and services. Citizens will keep on losing faith in the value of their country's currency if the government is not properly managed. People will begin to hoard commodities and goods that have value when the currency is perceived to have little or no value. As prices begin to rise, basic goods such as food and fuel become scarce, causing prices to spiral upward. As a result, the government is compelled to print even more, worsening the hyperinflation.
The countries that has experienced hyperinflation is Hungary. For your information, Hungary was among the most stable currencies in the world. Its currency called Pango, which was previously pegged to the gold standard, but unfortunately in 10 July 1946, Hungary suffered the worst hyperinflation, which is the highest level of inflation ever recorded. This happened during World War II, when Hungary borrowed a ton of debt from the Soviets in order to help Germany fight in the war. After the war ended, Germany did not repay the debt and Hungary was forced to pay the borrowed money. And resulting from that, Soviets took over their country and controlled all their budget and took all their revenues obtained from that country in order to repay back the debt, which then led to hyperinflation. Moreover, when the war ended, Pango currency did not recover and it forced the government to print more money and flood the country with banknotes to control the Pango from falling further. The government hoped that their people had enough money in their hand. However, it only pushed Hungary's economy to the brink. In the worst scenario, the price of goods would double every 15 hours, where the people need tons of money to buy a chicken. There are 3 causes that led to hyperinflation in Hungary. The first one is World War II. The second one is lack of reserve. And the third one is that the government prints a lot of money.
The next example is Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe is a country that experienced significant hyperinflation in the past. The Zimbabwean dollar is no longer actively used as it was officially suspended by the government due to rampant hyperinflation. The citizens of Zimbabwe suffer from high levels of hyperinflation. In 2009, annual inflation reached about 500 billion%, meaning prices double roughly every day. In 2011, the economy was still struggling to recover from this period. Prices in Zimbabwe nearly double every day. Goods and services would cost twice as much each following day. With the unemployment rate exceeding 70%, economic activities in Zimbabwe virtually shut down and turned the domestic economy into a barter economy. In addition, the Zimbabwean dollar's exchange rate has dropped over the past 60 years from 3 quid to the US dollar in 2008 to 4.4 trillion by October 2017. The country has been struggling with high inflation and hyperinflation that sometimes exceed 100 billion%. In 2008, Zimbabwe had the second highest incidence of hyperinflation on record. The action of the national government that increased the money supply in response to rising national debt has contributed to hyperinflation in Zimbabwe. Moreover, the hyperinflation in Zimbabwe has causing a foreign currency such as the South African rand, Botswana pula, United States dollar to be used as a medium of exchange instead of the Zimbabwean dollar.
Now let's see how hyperinflation is affecting us and why is it so bad. Before that, let us think about these quotes first. Thomas Sowell once said, hyperinflation can take virtually your entire life savings without the government having to bother raising the official tax rate at all. This situation is happening in Zimbabwe when people in Zimbabwe who had worked their entire lives and saved for retirement saw their funds taken out. The first effect. People may stockpile products, even perishables like food, as a result of increased costs which can lead to food supply shortages. When prices grow too quickly, cash or savings saved in banks loses value or becomes worthless since the money has considerably less purchasing power. Consumers' financial condition declines, perhaps leading to bankruptcy. Moreover, all of this uncertainty restricts international investment and trade. Second effect, people may not deposit their money in financial institutions, causing banks and lenders to fail. If consumers and companies are unable to pay their taxes, governments may be unable to offer essential services. Third effect, severe hyperinflation might drive the domestic economy to shift to a barter economy, which can have a major impact on company stability. It has the potential to damage the financial system by making banks reluctant to lend money. Lastly, hyperinflation causes currency values to collapse in foreign exchange markets. As the cost of imported product rises, the nation's importers go out of business. The government's tax revenues drop and it struggles to provide basic services. To pay its bills, the government produces additional money, which creating hyperinflation.
Living in this kind of pace in life can sometimes be hard on certain people because especially in the event of hyperinflation, the value of money decreases even more every day. However, despite the rarity of hyperinflation to happen, many people are still worried about it. And if it were to happen, what should we do? Firstly, the precaution can be taken in terms of growing our own food, because when money becomes worthless, food, which is our necessities, will become hyper-valuable. During the year 2008 in Zimbabwe, there was nothing to buy in the supermarket and the shelves were all empty. From here, it is the safest way to at least learn on how to make a loaf of bread in order to cater our basic needs. Secondly, we must be prepared by having a wide variety of skills. Hyperinflation makes a bartering system necessary when money is useless. Specifically, a broad range of skills in trading can be advantageous. We can have our assets well diversified among the stocks, bonds, gold, and other hard assets. The ancient saying "never put eggs in one basket" plays an important role, especially in this situation where we cannot simply rely on our savings account anymore. Thirdly, we might want to keep the travel document ready. In case the hyperinflation is intolerable, people can travel to another country to lessen the risk of having a high cost of living. However, most importantly is to quickly adjust ourselves with the new conditions in the market to avoid being left behind. Even though life can sometimes be hard, we will have to constantly put effort into becoming one of the survivors of hyperinflation in case it happens in our country.